So I got you guys to tag me in different exercises. I've had people send me DMs and tag me in different things, different exercises, having me look at what we're doing. Hey, Cody.
You just teaching everyone how to train?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know how to do it properly?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not properly, just my way. It doesn't mean it's properly. People have been like tagging me and stuff randomly and just asking my opinion or showing me stuff they're doing on their own based off what they've seen in my videos. But I just kind of wanted to start like a section of HD, or it might end up being on Pure Muscles channel, but where it's just kind of like a coach's corner type thing where people can write in and send in videos and get me to critique stuff they're doing. Not that like anything, it's like, again, like I just said to Cody, it's not like what people are doing is wrong. There's lots of ways to do shit, right? It's just like, this is my way of doing stuff, and if what I show you helps you and benefits you and gives you more of a contraction, or you feel that area better, or you know what I mean, a lot of people have issues and they're working around injuries, they're working around different problems they have, right? So sometimes getting a new movement pattern can kind of negate that issue you might be having. Like a lot of guys have shoulder problems because they flare too much on their presses, and they develop a lot of issues with their front delt and their back or their neck, whatever it could be, because they're just straining so hard, right? So my style of teaching people to be in tighter on pressing and be up through things kind of negates that, because we're tucking the shoulder down and we're locking into a position where it's forced to stay down as we press. We can't drive over things because we're so arched that we don't start doing this and try and pushing around our body to press things up. So that was an issue I had with like Steven Didoshak, that I always want to say Dido, I don't know. Me and him have been conversing like on and off, just like he'd send me like a little clip and I'd give him my opinion because he's trying to bring up his chest. Not that his chest really needs like a lot of bringing up. The kid's massive and definitely be a pro this year, if not in the near future, whatever that might be. But yeah, so I mean, I just kind of looked at the video and saw like he's a very strong guy, and he's very like shoulder dominant and like thick mass upper body, so he's like very built. So that power he has up top transfers into his ability to just press things very rigidly, right? So I kind of, on the first few videos I sent with him, like watched him do different pressing motions, different angles, different machines. I noticed that he wasn't like lifting up through like I teach a lot of the guys that I train to really drive up through things and to really move through the weight. So it's like in the video that will kind of tag onto this, he asked me my opinion on this exact machine pretty much. I think he might have the other generation, but it might be this actually one. So, but anyway, it's like anything where it's like the press is going down from you, so it's a decline press. Decline press doesn't necessarily mean you have to be on a decline to do it. This is like a downward press. So I'm almost like over top of the press. So a lot of the stuff he was doing was he was setting up really well here, and he was set on the way here, and he was kind of up tall and then pressing through things. So he was getting a little movement up. So you see the rocking up and squeezing out, but it would end up being like he would just kind of get to the point and then let it out. So we'd get here, so you get a little chest lift and let it out. So what I want to do with a lot of people is teach them that the beginning of their press doesn't need to be this like explosion. Like it gets to a point where like the weight gets high enough where that needs to be what happens, right? In order to generate force out of the negative of the rep, right? To drive out of the hole of something, right? But when we're in bodybuilding, we're not working at those ranges a lot. Like we are, but we aren't. So our idea is to control very heavy weight and manipulate very heavy weight and move through it. We're not just trying to get, like we talk about, from point A to point B. We're not trying to get to that. Because if that's the case, like Steven and guys like him and everybody else who presses is really strong, you don't need anybody's help, right? Because you can get A to B very easy, and you get there, but like we're not, these people that are very strong that way, they don't notice like, oh, my chest doesn't sit the way I want, or it's not as full, I don't get as much contraction, right? So what I would tell people like that is on any presses to like, this one's even easier to do because this one you can actually be over your hands. You don't need to be behind your hands. Because if I'm behind my hands here and I go to push, it's almost like I impinge my chest and I can't squeeze up too high. I almost stick myself in the seat. Whereas here I want to feel like I'm on my hands and I'm squeezed in my back. So I'm a little bit leaned forward and pushing into my hands so that I can pop up whenever I want. So I'm going to lift and squeeze. So it's literally like I'm driving up to flex in. So I'm not trying to drive to press to a spot and drive and press down to things and lift up. I want to literally gradually lift myself and squeeze. So I'm lifting my chest up to my chin, and I'm almost standing up in the seat to drive through. So my shoulders stay on a tucked line all the time, even though they're going straight down, and I'm flexing in. So the idea is to, like, we want to grab pec here, almost want to feel like a dip. So like I'm getting that pull into my pec line and my armpit, and I'm trying to push down through it. So I'm trying to get leverage on it, I'm stretching, and then I'm moving up through and grabbing all of my pec, right? So instead of creating this rocking, because you'll notice, like in the video that he posts, he's pressing and he's moving pretty well up and down through things, and then it gets heavy, and it's just like, it's like, and then we're trying to get the last 2 reps, whereas like if you're burning out and you're failing and you're lifting up through things, it's like I'm still moving, and I can flexing, like if my strength starts going down, I can actually flex through things and then open slowly and then squeeze. Like I can make the set last longer because I'm relaxing in my negative and using momentum to drive through my chest, as opposed to just arm push, which is gonna fatigue very fast, right? So that's just kind of what I noticed with him, and you can apply that to any pressing motion. You don't need to necessarily be as exaggerated as this, where you're jumping up through things, but just that feeling of like sternum lifting and chest popping, right? So my sternum lifts, my chest lifts, my shoulders roll back, and everything's this motion of like almost breathing, like popping and locking as a fucking dancer. Do you know what I mean? Like we're popping our chest all the time. So the idea to be able to control here is what we want, right?